Friendship of Friendship Park. We're going to introduce ourselves. My name is Christine Myaskowski. Lived in this town for 5 years, and I like to be involved in community projects.
I'm Melissa Barnes. I've lived in this town for maybe about 12 years, and very excited to share with you our vision for the new playground.
Lauren Ferroli, I've lived here for 12 years as well.
And I'm Mary Anderson. I'm born and raised here and still live here. So thank you guys for tuning in and being interested in what's going on with Friendship Park. The four of us got together 2.5 years ago or so when we were talking to each other online about some of the repairs that were needed at Friendship Park. We all have young children. There were 9 children between the four of us. That's a lot of kids. And they're all from 3rd grade and younger. So we've all had different experiences at Friendship Park. I know my personal experience is I have twins, and those boys like to run. So my biggest complaint was that the gate didn't close. So that was my complaint, and then there were other complaints about the slide and fencing and whatnot. And so the four of us got together, we put together a charity. We've applied for IRS 501c3 tax exemption. And we're looking to replace and upgrade the worn out playground equipment. We want to improve the accessibility. I know that's a big issue with us. It's very difficult to push a stroller on the mulch currently. So I can't imagine anyone with significant disabilities would have an easy time getting out there and getting access to the playground and the different equipment. So we want to improve the accessibility. We want to add paths and have a nice surface, a uniform surface to the playground that will make it accessible to everybody. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit of the history of the playground. It was built in 1994. There were parents that came together back then in the early 90s to put that playground together. My mom was the treasurer of that playground. So my mom and my sister and my other siblings, but mostly my sister and I, were very involved in helping fundraise, raise money, count all the coins. There was a lot of coin wrapping. We sold a lot of t-shirts, and that went on for several years. And all the money was raised privately, and they replaced the playground with a community build, which is very similar to what we're looking to do this year, or hopefully in the upcoming year.
I think, as we said, the playground, the quoted lifespan of playgrounds is 15 to 25 years. So with the calculation of 1994, we're right at that lifespan. It's not inclusive to wheelchairs. There's no inclusive equipment. And I think this was also started right about when the last repair was done, and there was a significant cost to repairing the playground, which was $17,000 at the last.
So most recently, the DPW had a private inspector come and take a look at the playground for, see if it's up to par for kids to use. I think she observed for the entire day, seeing how many people came and went. And in summation, she said, in my personal opinion, the playground equipment has run its course, and it is her recommendation to remove it. When she did the evaluation of the wood structures, she noticed some rotting and said that likely there's rot below grade. So that's problematic as well, because we don't know when something might give if someone's on some equipment. So it's definitely time for an upgrade. I know she also noticed a poor line of sight for some parents who chose to sit in their car and look through, or really from different angles, it's hard to kind of see what's going on in the different structures. So that's something we could address as well. The slides, those tall slides are not up to par, not up to code, and that I think there's also a pole that the kids can slide down, and it's too far out, so that's another concern. So why start now? So Friends of Friendship Park, as Mary said, we're a nonprofit now, and since we started, we've raised almost $2,000, and it's really just been the four of us fundraising, and we're all working moms, and it's difficult to raise money, so we're working towards it, but at this rate, we're not gonna get there.
Yeah,
So
that
we
was
really are looking for
2 years
some
of
help
park
from the
days, a
town.
river day. I think we had a
Yes.
restaurant day. And we also tried to fundraise at the community concerts last year.
Yes.
So it's just, right, it's a small town and there's a lot of competing fundraising efforts with PTO and sports and scouting. So
Yep.
it's definitely been a challenge per
Yes.
year to raise that.
Yes. And as many of you know, that's the playground isn't just even used by just the West Bridgewater families that come. It's and the kids at the schools, the local schools come. Library patrons to the children's programs. I know Children's Workshop sends kids over here, and we get kids from neighboring towns as well, so that it gets a lot of use.
Yep.
And it's directly accessible to the Howard School, the Council of Aging,
Soccer
the
fields.
library, the soccer fields, and it's a very good central location. Playground financing, design, build, of course, takes a lot of time, and replacement. We're hoping for fall of 2019, well, more likely spring of 2020, should we get the funds.
Yep.
As this will be voted on in the town meeting in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so I think we're trying to be proactive rather than reactive and do all this planning ahead of time,
Mhm.
since it would take a year to two just to even do where we are right now from where we started, so that if something was to happen, like we noted the structural or safety issues, we could quickly move in and construct a new playground.
And some of the key features in our redesign is to maintain the current size. We're not going to take over any more space that's already in that area. We want to have different ages for different areas for the toddlers to the school age kids, similar to a lot of the other playgrounds you might be seeing around different towns. They'll have different sections for different age groups. We want to replace all that mulch with rubber, which is another thing you see a lot of other playgrounds that are being redone right now. There's a lot of reasons why. One of it is for the accessibility, it's pushing a stroller on there, kids in wheelchairs, and it also helps with falls. It helps absorb impacts when kids fall from certain heights. So we want to do the full rubber, just go all out. We want to replace the fencing, and so close it up, put a gate. We also need to replace the whole fencing to its playground safety code regulation. I think, what is it, smaller?
Performance.
Yeah.
So that you can't climb it.
They can't climb it, no one can get their fingers pinned, so basically we have to get a playground safe fence. Another big thing is having inclusive equipment as well. And we also want to retain the shade, because we all have been to playgrounds with no shade, so we want to keep the tree, because that's great for parents and for everyone else. And we want to make a walking loop around the playground, so when parents do come with a stroller, they can, walk around and watch their kids as they play.
I think the age difference, I think that was something also noted in the safety, and currently the design of the playground is ages 5 and up. And usually playgrounds will have a separate area for ages 2 to 5.
Right, I think the auditor said that she
From a safety
noted
perspective.
mostly
Yeah.
younger children during the day.
This is one of the, so what as part of our project, we did get multiple designs. So we do have visual images of 2 example designs. These could be tweaked upon community review to come up with a final design that everyone liked within the budget, but this is pretty much, the design from our own feedback. And then we had a second one. This is maintaining the current footprint, as we said, just a kind of a visual,
Yeah.
of what this would look like. And so how we did this was we met with 3 separate vendors. We met them on site at the playground. We talked about our needs. They looked at the playground. They looked at what's been doing, what are the current codes, what are the things that other people are doing for similar playgrounds. And so we received 3 separate design proposals and quotes. And from that, we also proposed a community build, which would save $35,000 over a private install. So that would be almost 10% of the final price of the playground we could save as a community working together to do that. And this would also propose a fully rubber play surface, which would remove all of the mulch and any mulch cost in the future. Also make a safer and completely accessible, completely inclusive playground for everyone to use. And this pricing also includes the demolition and the removal of the old equipment, delivery of new equipment. And this could be done in approximately 1 week appropriate timing. And there are recent playgrounds that are, that have been doing this, and so it's really doable. So here are the three prices. So they range from $320,000 to $420,000 for the three designs. And that's with a total rubber install on the surfacing. So we did mention that Halifax is doing a playground as well. They're working with a budget of $300,000. They aren't using a full rubber, but they're using a path system. So they still will incur that cost over time. And these are just some examples of the playground that they're building right now. And they did do a community build over the weekends in April.
Yeah, we just wanted to show that, what the average price for a playground is going for these days. So that's why we're using Halifax as a
They're the
comparative.
most recent.
Most
local.
recent, yeah, so it's, it's.
And fundraising, we did talk about fundraising. It has been challenging due to the cost of the playground itself, $300,000. It's a lot of years of fundraising and park days, and $1,000 per park day. It might be 300 years. And we do have some competing things. This is a small community, there's a small amount of families in West Bridgewater, so we're kind of hitting the same people for a lot of the same fundraising things. But so we did do those park days, a river walk, community concert, restaurant, and we still are only at about $2,000 after 2 years of that. We did review a lot of public grants because we're not part of an urban area. A lot of these were not applicable, or other specific geographical regions. So we do have future ideas once we know the playgrounds that go. I think there's some options that we could do to kind of enhance the playground we have and defray some extra costs that could come along. There are bricks that you can do with your name, and we have some of those from the previous one that we're going to retain. And there's also, you can do like signs on the fences and corporate sponsorship, but we kind of really, we're hoping to know that the playgrounds that go before we invest in those things as fundraising ideas. That's it.
So what we're looking for everyone to do is to go to town meeting and to vote for this. The way we're proposing it be paid for is $320,000 from the CPA funds. This would be a borrowing article, which means 2/3 of the members or town people there to vote, 2/3 have to approve it. Because this is through CPA funds, it has no effect on your real estate taxes. CPA funds, I believe it's 1% of your real estate tax bill gets put into the CPA, the Community Preservation Act here in Massachusetts. And then that money that's in the CPA fund gets broken up into several different buckets. One of those buckets is considered open space, and within those rules here in Massachusetts, you can get a playground built using those funds. So that's what we're trying to do, is go to the town, use the funds that are available and in place for this, and to move forward with it.
So come to the town meeting on June 3rd at 7 p.m.
Yes.
And vote, tell all your
Thank you.
friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.